I mean, I come from the same field of medicine and psychology and this and that. When things don't work, we need to jump to the something what works.
Exactly.
So that is the whole exploration. Things works, but it works in different ways. You know, they always say that ice to melt, it has to go through certain temperatures. The moment it melts, it doesn't mean that that temperature is melting it, but all the time that it has been through in that temperature, it gives that whole. So everything that we integrate, I respect all the doctors who have mastered the whole machine, this complex machine, and they can literally cut you open, stitch you back, you are still alive. We are there, but we are talking about beyond, because after cutting, opening, doing everything inside, stitching you back, still what we are looking for, happiness, not happening. So let's look into some dimensions which can bring in that. We are looking for happiness, isn't it? Our minds, our subconscious minds, right from the childhood, it has been programmed. Ultimate thing is happiness. So whatever we do, be it education, be it job, be it whatever struggles, compulsions of life, we are simply pushed towards, okay, you will be happy after doing this. And we are doing A, B, C till Z, and then we say, still I'm not happy. And it's not about, you know, like I'm not generalizing the whole population. It's specifically about people who are differently sensitive, and being differently sensitive, they find it difficult to find whatever they are looking for. So desires which are not manifested, whatever I am looking for, whatever I am yearning, whatever I am yearning for, my intentions, I am putting my actions, I am putting everything that I have, but not getting or fulfilling my desires, or results are not happening. So that is where we look into different approaches. Let's say we are out of resources, we are looking for more resources, because we as a human being, we are not just flesh and bones. If we were just flesh and bones, the story was very simple. Doctors would have handled it like everything perfectly okay. They have mastered the whole zone. But just because we are not just flesh and bones, and the disorders and the diseases, not exactly the disease, but the disease and discomforts that happens to us, it's not happening just physically. There are many factors which we will discuss. There are many dimensions to that which brings these disturbances. What can we do about that? How we should be aware? As we were speaking in the last session, it was all about what can we tap into, and we have discussed that it's not just flesh and bones. That's, let's say it's a consciousness, my physical consciousness. More than physical consciousness, the question would be, are we more than physical body or just flesh and bones? That's where we are exploring the dimension, and we come to the next dimension, which is mind consciousness. The moment we discuss or explore or say mind consciousness, we are talking about all the biochemicals and neurochemicals that are happening in the body due to ABC, XYZ reasons. We are not discussing the reasons here. What is happening, let's explore it. Because in any field of research, in any field of exploration, we either approach holistically or we separate things and understand it. What we call as a reductionist approach. Doctors, yeah? So we are having specialists, a doctor, a heart specialist, a kidney specialist, psychiatrist, psychologist. We are into a reductionist approach of education, exploration, and whatever we need to understand. It's very good, beautiful, because we will specialize in one dimension. What we forgot is to bring it back, because it has to be brought back. We as a human beings, we are one as a whole. So when we are as a whole, unless and until it comes back, the whole well-being will not happen. So in that dimension, let me give you a simple example, which is coming from traditional philosophy or religious books. They say, and again, it's a reductionist approach, to simply reduce it to parts first and then to understand it collectively. The physical body, let's say there is a carriage tied to the horse which is pulling the carriage, and there is a person who is sitting on the horse who will ride the horse, and there are people who are sitting in the carriage, and there is an owner of the carriage. So they say the carriage itself is the physical body with all its reflex actions, all the reactivities, what is programmed as a firmware, right from your birth. There are certain things which are already programmed and certain things which you program. So reflex actions, reactivities, muscle memory which we program is all about that carriage. The second dimension is the horse, which is pulling the carriage most of the time. The horse is denoted as or representing the emotions, the feelings. The person who is sitting on that horse is representing the intellect. Intellect simply means my five senses, my analysis, my calculations, how and what. It's all about questioning, analysis. And the people who are sitting, they are different programs which have been programmed due to this. They call it I. So if there is one I in that carriage, good. But there is more than one I. I am. As we have discussed in the last session also, it's about identities. What do I identify myself as? Because identity is such a big thing. The moment I identify myself as a doctor, my hand will not shake while using the scalpel. If I identify myself as a soldier, my hands will not shake while using the gun. I have had many clients who wanted to become artists and they were pushed into doctors, surgeons, ABC, XYZ. They said that I am unable to deal with patients. I am unable to hold that when I do the surgery because I don't identify myself as a doctor. There are more than one identities within me which says you are not a good doctor. What is this dimension? This dimension is mostly about what I have programmed myself into and what my feelings are resonating within me. So in this example itself, let's say only physical body is in control. So let's say the carriage is in control. What will happen? Just imagine. So the whole control is all about my reflexes, my sensations, my pains, whatever is happening as a sensation in my body. The moment something happens in my stomach, it will send a signal to my brain, oh, what is happening? Uncertainty, it doesn't know anything. It simply is sending the signal there and the brain says, I don't know. The moment it says, I don't know, it goes into a mode of flight and fight. It says, yeah, now you need to be safe. Now you need to be secure. Now you need to somehow create a certain zone wherein you should feel safe. With that intention, the whole nervous system will secrete certain hormones in the body. Namely, cortisols, adrenaline, we know that. Intention of the system is to save us. In olden days, let's say, hunters and gatherers, if there is a tiger in front of me, I know that there is a tiger, I'll do something. My body will take charge, reflex actions will happen. I'll either run or I'll jump on the tiger to kill the tiger. I'll do something and I'll consume those cortisols and adrenaline. But now, when my body perceives the danger is there, chemicals are secreted, but I'm not consuming it. When I'm not consuming, now the body starts to perceive it as what is happening. Because that's not normal. It's confusing. The moment the whole system, your whole neurochemicals, biochemicals and immune system goes into a confusion, that is what comes out as a psychosomatic disorders. Mostly, it starts with my thought and feeling and manifests into my body. So they have a list of psychosomatic disorders, which starts with I am unable to perceive things in a right way as it should be. My mind is confused first. I am in uncertainty. Fear is vibrating in me. I am not confident. And the most important thing which literally projects it to manifest into the body is I don't have the right information and I am coping up. I'm coping up somehow. Most of the time, medicine becomes coping up. Most of the time, people go to gym. They join the sports, they go for ABC, XYZ, they are not resolving it, they are simply coping up. So when coping up comes into the picture, again the brain doesn't perceive. What is happening? You are feeling good for some time, again you are going into the same dimension. That is where the whole picture gets confused and the mental disorders or what we call as stress, depression, that comes into the picture. Medically it has been seen from a different dimension, from a different perspective, then holistically we look at it from a different perspective. So what we discussed in this context last time was some formulas where I have discussed that I will become illness and we will become the wellness. So the whole concept is all about, first of all, identifying myself as who am I? Am I single entity as an individual and should I create the boundaries around me because people are not right, not good, they are bad, whatever I have perception, or should I simply change the perception? In that same context, we have also discussed that life, sometimes we make it a mathematical formula. And we have also discussed that 2 plus 2 is 4, mathematically correct. But the moment you step into life, it's an infinite potential. Geometrically, in a circle, we have 360 degrees, 360 angles, means 360 perspectives. In life, are we looking at situations, events, people, whatever is happening around me, at least from 4 to 5 perceptions? Or my reaction is coming from 1, 2, 3 events or 1, 2, 3 perceptions. That too, my deleted, distorted, generalized experiences which I have learnt in life. This is what we have discussed in the last session. Clear till here? Anything you want to add that I have forgotten maybe? Yes, Asma, you remember anything?
That every
Yes, yes, I also said that every behavior have a positive intention. So mostly we judge people on behavior, isn't it? This person is doing this, he is bad. He is behaving like this, he is good. He is nice to me, he is not nice to me. We judge everybody on the context of the projected behavior. We never consider what is creating that behavior. That behavior, it might be, it could be, I simply want to poke somebody. I want to hurt somebody. Why is that behavior coming out? Needs to be understood with each and every individual. So if I understand if you are behaving like this, I understand why you are behaving like this. This is what we call as EQ, emotional quotient or emotional intelligence. The moment we step into the emotional intelligence and look from that perspective, I will not only understand why I am behaving like this, but I will understand why you are behaving like this. And then the differences will fade off. And the understanding dimension will come in, and you will be in the zone of, okay, I understand why you are doing this. That's where a whole lot of misinterpretations, communications, everything will come to balance. Why we are discussing about mental health? The reason is this. 7 in 10 people, around 72%, I think you would be suggesting us or guiding us more into this dimension if these numbers are correct. I think this is more. As to my experience, I mean, the people that I see, literally they are going through this. So 7 in 10%, 72% almost, going through mental diseases. Not medically disease, but discomforts. I'm not happy, I'm feeling depressed, I don't have resources, uncertainties, I don't know what to do. In that context, this is the reason why we are discussing this, why we are simply exploring this. Again, I am not a PowerPoint person, so please bear with me. These are just for, we will be discussing, in depth each and everything. So this is just to have the statistics on the table. So this is what 62% would seek help from a mental health professional, 55% would talk to a close friend. Forget about the numbers, just look at the words. So people would literally go and refer close friends, would talk to trusted authorities, religious leaders. That is a big coping mechanism. What I am trying to say with all these things is, people are trying to cope up with all these things. These are coping strategies. Either I go to a spiritual leader, either I speak to a friend or a professional, or I consult a practitioner, or I'll start a medical treatment. Yeah? Then we'll do the Google search. Try to find the symptoms. Does it apply to me or not? Or some people simply say enough is enough, let me handle it. And then they'll enter into certain kind of behaviors. They'll say let me do this, let me do that. The whole categorization or separation of, am I coping or am I doing a resolution or a solution to the problem? The whole dimension is all about, am I following the trends, what is trending, whatever is already there, or am I following the theme of creation? My whole intention, my whole research work started with my mother when she was diagnosed with cancer. Normally we have approached different doctors. My father was also diagnosed with a tumor, and they simply perceived it as cancer and they started the chemotherapy. The dosage was not proper and he expired due to the heart failure. My mother said that I'll die, I'll not take the chemotherapy. You have to do something now. That is where I jumped into this, and we have been exploring different dimensions. Okay, if not just medicine, then what? What is causing that tumor or cancer? Or so in that whole thing, what I came up with is, people are somehow coping up. And the tragedy is, they cope up and keep on coping up till they die. And at the end, they think that this is life. Then all those philosophies comes up. Life is a struggle, life is a challenge, life is a test, life is ABC, XYZ. This is where I want to draw a line and ask people this humble question: are you following the trends? Are you following what is widespread available there? Or are you following the theme of creation? If we are following the theme of creation, which we will be discussing some points about that, and all these talks are based upon that, as we started last time also, that if you are simply into that theme of creation, the default state of your body is health, vitality and happiness. I literally want to emphasize this, and I want every one of you to make this as a point, that the default state of my body, the natural state of my body is health, vitality and happiness. Out of my learning mechanisms, out of my upbringing, out of the inhibitions that I am in, right from the perception stage of my lives, right from the stage of 3, 5, 6, 8, 10, 14, I am perceiving things, and what is piling up in my dimension is inhibition after inhibition, inhibition after inhibition. What is coming up is compulsiveness. So I am compelled to make my decisions and choices because of financial compulsions, maybe emotional compulsions, maybe religious compulsions, family compulsions, societal compulsions, environmental compulsions. Most of my decisions and choices are driven by compulsions. My choices are not giving me happiness because I am compelled to make those choices, isn't it? So what is the way out? So this is what is the intention of what we are into this, the whole talks, the whole series of talks. The intention is to create awareness, not only just about mental wellness, but it's like a holistic thing. The moment we speak about health itself, health, when we say health, health is coming from the root word which is known as whole. Whole. Whole means everything that is there. So it's not just one thing for sure. It's the combination of the mechanisms that affect each other. My body affecting my brain affecting my emotions affecting my choices and decisions, that is affecting my behavior, that is affecting my stimuli in the body, each and every sensation that is happening in my system, everything is connected. So what I am exposed to, whatever is the stimuli for myself, and how am I projecting. So coming back to that same example of the carriage, let's say physical body has taken charge, that is the master, and we have been driven by sensations. So mostly the people who are in that dimension will be driven by lust, hunger, poverty, anger. These are the intense emotions which will drive them. Competition, confusion, doubts, desperations. These will be the ingredients in that dimension. Just imagine, if that is driving your decisions and choices, how the life would be. That's why people come with, like, I'm feeling this lethargy in my muscles. The moment I am about to make some decisions, I shake. I'm afraid to make choices. What are you driven with, or what are you driven by? You will notice that they are driven by doubts and desperations. They want things to happen now. The ingredients that are disturbing that whole dimension is my desires which are not happening, my expectations which are ending up with disappointments. Every time I have an expectation, it ends up with the disappointment. So this is where my whole life, my whole research is all about, working upon certain tools, understanding certain dimensions which can literally broaden this whole dimension. So what we need to look into is, okay, if this is the whole mechanism, then what I need to be in charge of. As I said, that there are a whole lot of I am a father, I am a brother, I am a friend, I am an engineer, I am a doctor. So these are the identities that are there within me. These identities are giving me capabilities and abilities with each and every identification that I have identified myself as. This is where, however I am behaving, whatever my behaviors are projecting, is as per those identities. Tragically, what happens? Sometimes some of these identities are hurt or wounded, and that wounded and hurt identities will hijack the other identities. The basic principle or the basic formula is, as we were speaking, that happiness, health and vitality is the default state of the body. Similarly, within me, I have all the resources. If a confused me is there within me, a wise me is also there within me. If a afraid me or fearful me is there is a strong me also within me. Unfortunately, the fearful me has hijacked and is operating the body. The confused me has hijacked and is operating the body. The desperate me has hijacked and operating the body now. Who is operating the body is questioned all the time. And in the last session, that's why I have given you that whole set of questions that you need to be asking yourself all the time. The more you ask those questions, the more you will dig down, open up, and you will understand what is creating this discomfort in me. So coming back to that same horse and carriage dimension, let's say the person who is sitting on that horse or who is riding that, he took charge. He is all about intellect. He is all about thoughts, analysis. He is all about calculations. He is all about looking into dimension, this is safe, this is not safe, let me drive there, let me not drive there. He is taking charge. Now how would you think the journey would be? Let's be interactive, I'm asking. See, first we were looking at if the carriage took charge, and carriage is driving the whole thing. Carriage is pushing the horse, carriage is pushing the man who is riding, and carriage is there to handle everything. Chaos, isn't it? And second is, let's say horse took the charge. A horse wants to go somewhere, wherever it wants to go.
It will be pure instinct and impulse.
Instinct and impulse is the physical dimension. And those are programmed as a firmware within us. It's installed right from birth. And that we simply keep on multiplying as we grow up.
So there would be no emotions,
No, that's what I'm telling you. We are looking first as a separate. Yes. Let's look from a reductionist approach, then we'll bring it all together as a holistic. So if the carriage takes charge or it hijacks the whole mechanism or the drive, chaos. If the emotions are taking charge, again, not a happy state. Of course, the carriage will be pulled. You will be pulled by emotions. You will be an emotional person. And most of the time, what will be happening is emotional atyachar. I mean, so it's emotional torture. That's what will be happening most of the time.
The horse has two functions. One is power.
Yes.
And second, what he can see.
Yeah. So he's
horse
driven.
Will be driven by the power that he can generate.
Yes. Yes.
And the sight.
Yeah.
The direction that he can see. That's why
Yes.
you
Yes.
carriages you have horse with.
Yeah. Yes. So you look in front and you're simply guided by the person who is reining you, rather than horse making the choices.
Yeah. If you leave a running carriage and the horse to go, he will
Yes.
go straight.
Yes.
Unless something-
Yeah. Exactly. So horse is just an example there, but we are talking about emotions here. Acknowledging the fact that our body is already a complex mechanism, the most complex machine on the planet. Added to that is the nervous system. Added to that is the emotions. Added to that is the influences. Just imagine how complex it becomes. And my emotions are driven by, that's a big question mark. How my emotions are driven by? What is driving my emotions? What is creating my emotions? Is my fears creating my emotions? Is my wide perspective towards the world or my perception or my point of views, non-judgmental, creating my emotions? Or I am judging on every second thing. You said this, you did this, you acted like this, your facial features were like this, you sat like this means this. This is how we judge, isn't it? We are being trained into this one. In business schools, in ABC, XYZ, personality development, body languages, linguistics. This is what we train. If people speak like this in this tone and they are sitting like this means this. There couldn't be anything else. Are you talking about humans or robots? That's the main question. Who are we talking about? If you are talking about a robot, okay, I can agree. They have been programmed like that, maybe. But we are talking about humans. When we are talking about the humans, it's infinite potential. That's what was our topic for the last talk. They can behave in any way. They can sit any way, they can mean anything. This is where the whole psychology fails to cure or solve problems when psychiatrists and psychologists go to that one framework. Okay, we are looking from this framework. This plus this means this. And they are curing people just from that framework. The acknowledgement, the humble acknowledgement that needs to happen in that dimension is we are talking about human beings. And their behaviors, their projections, it is random. Because each and every individual on this planet is born with different sensitivity. How I am sensitive, it's not necessary the whole world should be sensitive like me. How I understand things, it's not necessary that the whole world should understand things just like me. They'll have their own perception. They have the freedom to understand however they want to understand. And the whole dimension, as we were speaking in the last session also, is about the celebration of the diversity. Rather than saying that you believe this, I believe this, I am correct. You are wrong. I am the right pious person, you are the sinner. This is what is the whole disturbance all about. This is where each and every cell in my body, let's imagine that there are trillions of cells in this body, and each and every cell just animated. Just make it a human being. And just imagine that trillions of human beings living here, and this hand wants to simply keep on punching this hand. What will happen? They are meant to live in harmony. The only default state that they know is happiness. They want to dance together, and some of my emotions are driving it. No, this is right, this is wrong. In this context, I always tell people that literally go to your dictionaries in the houses and strike off those words, good and bad, right and wrong. Let it be in the laboratory. In laboratory, these words are very good. It will be utilized, it will be useful. Because you label one bottle as this is good, I will not use it next time. This is the thing that I will use it in another time. When you apply those things to life, let's acknowledge and recognize life as a phenomena, not as a mathematics, not as a laboratory. Unfortunately, because human mind is such, majority of the people, we look from, okay, let's understand this, let's separate this. We forget to bring it back. This is the intention that we are conducting these talks, and my whole research and efforts are just to bring this awareness back, that we are talking about human beings. And when we are talking about human beings, let's look into the ingredients that can bring this back. If we are trying to make a cake, let's say, two things we require. One is the ingredients. The second thing is I need to know the process, isn't it? Let's say I know the process, I don't have the ingredients. Let's say I have the ingredients, but I don't know the process. I know the ingredients, I know the process, but I am simply messing it up. First thing last, last thing first. I am trying to jump on the last stair first. Will it take effort or will it be effortless? Most of the times this is what is happening. We know the tools. It's not like awareness is poof. Awareness is there. We are aware of this is right, this is wrong, this is good. If I go there, we know the whole GPS. And the GPS is telling you if you take this route, it will be 3 minutes late maybe. Choice is mine. We are driven by desperations. No, I have to take this. Because there are many compulsions. The moment I end up in a stuck zone, then I say, no, I am not to be blamed. Traffic is to be blamed. This person is to be blamed. This is happening because of you, not because of me. On the other hand, people are there, naive people, more sensitive people, they say it's all because of me. Nobody is to be blamed. I am the one, kill me. Or I will die, I will commit suicide. That is also disbalance. Or people will go to next dimension. Governments are to be blamed. The whole system is to be blamed. Economy is such. The world that we are living in is such. So what they are doing, if you look into this mechanism, they are blaming. It's a blame game. As a therapist, as a doctors, as a practitioners, I always encourage people, check what are they blaming. Any disease that they come from, check what is the blame zone. Are they blaming the bigger picture? Are they blaming themselves? Or there is somebody in their life they are blaming. And they are angry. They are helpless. They are guilty. And they are fearful. These are the 4 major ingredients that starts the whole mental pains. So this is basically the technical thing that we look for as a psychologist, as looking from the psychology dimension, that there are stressors that creates that stress, and there are strains which is affecting the physical dimension. So it starts with a stimuli, an environment, a person, work stress, work pressure, or ABC, XYZ things, the complex things that we have created in this world. Right from the dark ages till now, if you look at it, we have made things complex or easy. As we are growing, as we are evolving, things are becoming more and more complex. What we have gained and what we have lost, if you look into that dimension, we have gained complexities at the cost of simplicity. The whole dimension is all about, even though I am this human being, the moment I eat the food, there is a very complex mechanism that comes into play, and it digests the food, it takes the protein, it gives to the body. Even a single apple is converted into my flesh, bones, bone marrow, blood. A complex mechanism which I cannot understand, but still, simply, I eat an apple and I feel energized. Isn't it? Do you have to think about it? How this apple is going to convert into my flesh and bones? Happening, isn't it? intelligence that is operating. Most of the time nowadays, the whole pressure is all about, I want to understand how this apple is converting into my body. And I want to look at each and every step, I want to understand each and every dimension. You are overstressing your nervous system, your neural pathways are confused, what to create, what to keep, what to delete. Because there's a whole lot of information, you are exposed to so much information and you are exposed to necessary, unnecessary, whatever it is. I am an engineer, let's say, but I want to understand rocket science. I want to understand each and every cellular movement in my body. If I don't understand, getting irritated, is that relevant? My humble question is just this, is that relevant for any person to simply jump into that? Living their lives, they want to understand whole political game. This is happening in politics, that is happening, he is doing that, she is doing this, because of this, this is happening. The whole discussions are draining their energies on daily basis. Because the law of consumption applies. And energy is consumed with each and every physical activity, mental activity, emotional and intellectual activities. Whatever you are doing as thinking or generating an emotion or connecting to wherever you are connecting as a friend or to your God, it is generating or consuming energy. Most of the time we are only consuming the energy, and generation of energy is just a poor food. And then people come up with, I am fully drained, I am getting depressed, I am stressful. What they are trying to say is, I don't have energy to consume. When there is no engine oil, when there is no petrol, still the engine is trying to brr, brr, brr. You will burn out the engine. That is what is happening with us. Yeah? So let's understand this to make life easy. So these were the things that I was speaking, that mostly we are into this. The behavioral responses, the stored and experiences that we have, they are driving us towards either simple surviving, somehow you need to survive. Let's say the surviving is Dark Ages, caveman. You have come all the way till here. If it's still your first preference, then you have to think twice. As we are sitting here means, thank God, survival is taken care, isn't it? Everybody in this room, as we are sitting, and everybody who is capable of understanding this concept means, thank God, survival is taken care. Otherwise, each and every one of us would be simply fulfilling the survival. Means we have already gone to the next level. Unconsciously what happened, we are still there. No, I need to survive. I need to survive means, I need to be better than you. I need to compete. I need to simply show myself as I am the best. Otherwise, I will be replaceable tomorrow. Otherwise, I have to do this. Otherwise, and I am simply in that own survival mode. I will lose my job. I will not have the money. I will die. And I have to survive now. And in that surviving, I need to compete. And then all the philosophies and new age educations and the exploration will tell you life is a competition. If you don't compete, you will not be here. As we are speaking, that competition is not the law. Competition is against the theme of creation. If you are literally going against the theme of creation, the whole discomfort is inevitable.
I didn't understand.
The theme of creation is collaboration. Let's say in my body, as we just giving the example, let's say just imagine that each and every cell of my body is a human being and they want to compete with each other. What will happen in my body? My feet wants to become head. They want to simply jump from here and they want to be here. Competition. This is against the theme of creation. The theme of creation is collaboration. My knee says that I'll stay here, I'll support. My shoulder says that I'll stay here, I'll support. My brain says that I'll stay here, I'll give the energy. That is where the collaboration happens. We have literally messed up the whole theme. And we teach our children, that's a tragedy. Compete. Competition is the only way out. That is where you end up with coping or defending or suppressing or over-expressing. You'll over-express yourself. You will say, I'll make my point today. I am right. If you don't take me, I'll literally bring 10 more people to simply prove the same points. Look at it from a different dimension. And look at it from the dimension of, is there effort or effortlessness? You will see there is an effortlessness. And whatever you are saying that this is competition, I call it collaboration. A rabbit is ready to become a tiger. It is there because the instinct, human instinct is there, he will run. The blood will flow, everything will happen. You are eating, let's say, chicken. In how much time chicken is becoming a human being? The whole dimension is all about, I take my responsibility and I behave like a responsible person. I don't overdo anything. This is the exception. Just show me any wild animal who overhunts or overeats or saves for tomorrow and misuse whatever is available as a resource. Humans are exception. Nature is effortlessness. The theme of creation is collaboration. The theme of the creation is evolution. A bee can become a vulture with collaboration and contribution. We see this. See, I have literally, to my benefit, I have studied religion. I have, like under my research, one of my research was collaborative or comparative religious studies. Every religion, believe me, every philosophy, every logical science tells you the same thing. Collaborate, contribute. Nobody says to compete. Because competition goes against that. Competition is coming out of fear of survival. I will not survive. Let me jump first. Let me kill first. Let me save first. Competition is simply my fear. My fear, uncertainties, instabilities, my fears, which I don't have a certain solution towards. And my coping mechanism becomes a competition because I have to cope up to survive. I'm still there on the survival zone. Maybe I'm now, not riding a horse or a donkey, I'm riding a car, doesn't matter. I'm still there. I have not grown from that dimension. Okay, let me give you directly, like the tools or the dimensions. Let's explore that dimension. From the Western approach or the separative approach or a reductionist approach, we see brain as a dimension which is working consciously and a dimension which is working unconsciously. The beauty of this dimension itself, when we see from a yogic perspective, in yogic sciences, we see this from a different dimension. The brain itself is divided into 64 different classes, and these 64 different classes are divided into 4 major elements. These 4 major elements, the first element is intellect. Intellect means all my 5 senses. I see and take the information, I hear, take the information, smell, taste and feel, touch. I take the information. And the more sharper my intellect is, the more deeper I go. In questioning, in exploring, in simply whatever it is. Business, very good. Explorations, research, development, awesome. Research, everything is literally driven by intellect. The more sharper my intellect is, the more deeper I'll go. I want to know, let's say Reema, I want to know Sharif as a human being. Will I use my intellect? Another dimension, isn't it? So intellect is one dimension. Let's separate it first. So this is one. My 5 senses, my analysis, which is necessary. Nothing is like it's not of any use. Everything that we have is of absolute relevant uses if it is used relevantly. I always give this example. Let's say you do the laundry. And how do you arrange your clothes in your cupboard? Shirt separate, pants separate. Why do you do this? Why do you keep it separately? Why don't you simply dump it? So that next time whenever you want pants, with closed eyes also you will put your hand and you will get the pants. You will end up with the right thing. But if you dump, next time let's say you want a pant and you are simply putting your hand and you will end up with the wrong thing. This is what happened with ourselves. Emotions, we have never learned to organize it. We want happiness, we are putting the hand, ending up with the anger. Because it is fully boom. We have not organized it. Anger is necessary survival mechanism which is there. Sadness is necessary sometimes. I need to be furious. I need to simply arrange it. When I need it, I'll go and I'll take out the anger. Most of the time, I'll keep my happiness in front. So that I put my hand, I'll get happiness all the time. Whenever anger is needed, I'll go for it. Nothing like I'll not go for anger. For sure it is needed for some time. It is there as an inventory. We have never arranged it. So once you arrange it, you will have life as an effortless process. When it is fully a mess, you will go for something, you will end up with something else. The second dimension in this is the most important dimension. That dimension is identity. How do I identify myself? If intellect is a scalpel in the hands of a doctor, identity is the hand that is holding that scalpel. How you are holding that scalpel is a big, big, big important thing that you need to ask yourself and to consider in life. What do I identify myself as? Because we have different identification. In our offices, in our workplaces, we are professionals, we are engineers, we are managers, we are so many things. At home, we are a father, we are a husband, brother. All those identities are there. How I behave as a manager, how I behave as a father are two different things, isn't it? Imagine manager behaving like a father or father behaving like a manager. I had a client, a very senior person who was very respected in the organization. Everybody used to come to him for advice. One fine day, the whole management changed. He is an ideal man for the wife, ideal father for the son. Everybody loves him like anything. Now the management has changed, nobody is taking his advice, and the young chaps who have came in, they said that, Chacha, from tomorrow this will not happen. You will have to follow our rules. If this doesn't happen, you are out, or you simply follow our rules. Now this person is irritated like anything, because the whole identity is distorted. First he was, a go-to person, now nobody is caring. Now this irritated identity has literally hijacked every identity. Going home, screaming at children's, hitting children's, wife coming in between, she is also getting something. Whole system is confused. And a wife came to me, I don't know what happened. Now see the people how they are. Either I have to go to a psychiatrist or an exorcist. Somebody did black magic to him. He was not like this. This is not the person that I was, knowing. The whole dimension was this manager had such deep wounds that it hijacked all the personalities and is standing there telling that until and unless I am fixed, I will not allow any identity to be happy. Because the wife was saying that, before sleeping he goes to the children and says, I love you my child, I did wrong, I was angry, I am sorry. So these are conflicting behaviors. Generally in psychology, classical psychology, we may label it as personality disorder, but they are personalities, multiple personalities. Unconsciously, without any conscious intervention, automatically some of my identities are hijacking the other identities. That's the tragedy. If I am mindful, if I am conscious, if my consciousness is on the surface all the time, I'll simply take charge, or I'll identify who am I and I'll give charge to that wise me. This is the second dimension in the whole picture of mind or mental health. The third dimension is about my storage. Now this is a big dimension. Right from my birth till now, whatever I have learned from schools, religion, environment, whatever or whoever taught me anything, that is in my storage in form of my experiences, my beliefs, my perceptions, my values. These are all there in the storage. This storage, this identity, this intellect works as a cybernetic mechanism. The gears, one gear you change, another gear change automatically. This also works just like that cybernetic mechanism. This storage can simply affect my identity. This storage can simply affect my intellect. So in my storage, certain past painful memories are there. It will affect my identity. I'll identify myself as, I'm a painful person. And then the philosophy will have a layer on that. God is with you if you are painful, be more painful. Oh, God loves me if I am more painful, let me jump into more pains. So this is the education that we are receiving layer by layer, and we are expecting happiness.
So it affects our identity and what else?
Intellect. Yeah. My ability to think, my ability to calculate and analyze, everything is affected by my storage. Because as we have just spoken that we are born like a default state of health, vitality and happiness. This is an override of the information. What I learn from the schools, what I learn from the parents. And the unfortunate event is most of the time we are coming from dysfunctional families, let's say. Very unfortunate event. Wherein you are seeing and learning. Because as in the process of development, children learn just by seeing. Until their cognitive senses are developed, they learn just by seeing how they are behaving, how my mother is behaving. And the energy is channelized through emotions. Mother is sad, the child will naturally feel sad. Emotions are transferred through the energy. That's the energy dimension. And the fourth dimension in this whole mind is your intelligence. Now there is a difference between intellect and intelligence. Intellect is all about my tangible things, what I see, hear and five senses and calculate. Intelligence is everything that is happening without even asking a single question to me. Like my digestive system. Never asks me whether to digest the apple or not. It digests. It simply gives the proteins and vitamins, whatever it is required to the body. It becomes my flesh, it becomes my skin, it becomes my bones, and it becomes my whole system. This is there on the physical, tangible level. But if you simply expand this dimension, it is everything that is around us. What is connecting me and you here in this room. When you are listening to me, calculating, absorbing, and saying that, okay, this I resonate with, this I don't resonate with. Everything is coming into that intelligence. It is the dimension which is collecting or connecting everything, a collective consciousness. That's where in the same context they say whatever action you perform as an individual is affected on the whole planet collectively. So if I am taking the responsibility, becoming a responsible person, and I am simply making my decisions and choices with my consciousness at the surface, I will be adding that to the collective consciousness. So these are basically the four dimensions that we look into as tools. So if we separate it, understand it separately, and you notice that what are the capabilities of each and every dimension, that is where we can bring this dimension together, understanding it separately, and have a harmony in all these dimensions. The moment you have harmony in these dimensions, the first effect would be your neurochemicals and biochemicals in the body that changes. You will have breathing space. Oh, now I understand why was the problem was happening. I am not uncertain whether it is a psychiatric problem or I have to go to an exorcist. Whether somebody had done something or it is me who is responsible for my miseries. That is where you take the responsibility. And it's a responsibility of each and every therapist, doctor, to simply bring them in the zone of taking the responsibility. You are the reason for the problem. First, you simply take charge of that. The moment they see that, they understand that, they digest that, okay, let me simply acknowledge that it's me who's creating this, then let me work towards the well-being or towards the wellness. That's what will come into the picture. Clear till here?
Yes. How do you understand the four dimensions by doing what? Is it checking in or?
And just understand the information at this point.
Okay.
We'll be exploring this as we are moving in next talks. For sure, we'll be exploring each and every dimension. I'll give you tools for each and every dimension, what you need to do. So these were the ingredients that we are talking about. If you are driven by these ingredients, the factors that will come out is this. So these are the mixtures of creating disturbances. And it's a responsibility, a collective responsibility of each and every individual human being living on this planet to bring back wellness. Because that is the default state of the beings that we are as a species. So these are some of those technical data. Okay. So this is the takeaway of the day. As we are talking about the cybernetic mechanism, this is again a next level of cybernetic mechanism. This is tried and tested, result oriented thing that I have given to people, and I have seen the feedback also. So let's say as an ingredient to understand myself, there are these three dimensions. One is my state of mind. Another is the internal calculations. Another one is external behavior. So my state of mind is happy today. I am very happy, vibrating with happiness. My internal calculations are I should be contributing to the community. Let me give something with all the happiness that I have. And my behavior would go hand in hand. So I'll be smiling, I'll be simply like greeting, I'll be simply giving whatever best thing I can give. On the opposite hand, it's the same. I see a stimuli there, somebody is cheating me. My internal calculations would be, as per my experience, as per my storage, this happens all the time. These people belong to this community, does this all the time. They are like this, all the thieves. Now what is my state of mind? Anger, irritation, annoyance. What would be my behavior? What would be my facial expressions? And what would be my neurochemicals? What would my biology be going into? All those IBS, digestion issues, frozen shoulders, most of the psychosomatic disorders, just because of this cybernetic mechanism. A stimuli which is having an internal calculation judged based upon my experiences and storage and giving me a state of mind, and I am behaving in a certain way. Solution for this: taking charge of the state of mind is quite difficult. You have to literally become meditative. You have to learn philosophies of life, understand the theme of creation, and understand a whole lot of things, which we will be doing for sure. The good news is we will be exploring that dimensions, talk by talk. Internal calculations are again to be trained. It doesn't happen over, like I tell you this and you are changing that. It happens. You will have a whole lot of questions. Let me give you a simple example. If I tell you that let's from today affirm this, and the affirmation is life is easy. Already started laughing. What is the internal dialogue that is happening? What's the internal dialogue?
That goes against everything I've been taught.
Yes, that goes against everything that I have been taught. Just imagine how many things you have to change to believe in life is easy.
It's easy to say life is easy.
Exactly. You will say that it is easy to say that life is easy. Easier said than done. A, B, C, X, Y, Z. We have so many words and philosophies, backing up what you believe that life is not easy. And you will have all those internal dialogues. Life is a struggle. Life is this. People are cheaters. This. You will have 100 statements just like this. I want you to simply list down all those statements. Literally, the moment you say life is easy, every internal dialogue that is there at the back of your mind, please list down all those internal dialogues, because that is the hurdle for the default mechanism of happiness and easiness or ease, effortlessness. We have learnt that it is not easy, and whatever we have learnt, make a list of that, and that is the therapy that you need to go through. So internal calculations and state of mind, okay, it's a long game, but external behavior, consciously, mindfully, I can take charge immediately, and this is for sure a coping mechanism, not a solution, but will give you a breathing space. Immediately, if you are stressed, if you are simply in a zone of anger, annoyance, irritated, you will get some breathing space, and then you can think about it, and then you can simply find resources, because finding the resources itself is a zone where I need to step into. If I am unresourceful, I won't be able to step into the resourceful zone. Yeah. So in that context, let's say there are 4 dimensions to the external behavior itself. The moment I behave, my body posture goes into a certain way, and my facial expression becomes whatever, isn't it? So the moment I am angry, how is my facial expressions, how is my body posture? Just imagine it for 2 seconds and come back. If I am happy, if I am throbbing with love, excitement, curiosity, how is my body expression? How is my facial expressions? You can stay there for some time. And my breathing immediately changes. If you have noticed, when you are angry, breathing and heartbeat. We human beings are fully in a zone of different rhythms. There are circadian rhythms and different technical rhythms in there. And the shortest rhythm is our breath and our heartbeat. So first let's take charge of the breath, which is connected directly to the heartbeat. So agreeing and acknowledging to that point, that the moment I am angry, the moment I am in ABC states that are not resourceful, my breath goes out of balance. So immediately you can take long, deep, conscious breaths. Being aware of the breath, let's do it right away. 2 things to observe: how deep my breath is going, what is the temperature of my breath. Take a long, deep breath. Observe right here, right now. At this point, at this moment, how is my breath? How deep is my breath going? What is the temperature of my breath? You will feel either warm breath is coming and going, or it will be neutral. If it is warm, then you need to literally slow down and calm. If it is cold, good. If it is neutral, good. After breathing, consciously change the posture. Shoulders straight, neck straight. Let the diaphragm be in the alignment. And the third thing is facial expression. Now I have experimented this. I think I have mentioned this many times. Let me again remind you all that I have given this to one of my clients, and I told her to simply smile and hold the smile for 5 minutes. Literally 5 minutes means 5 minutes, having a stopwatch. She said she was having fever, 101, 102, and she said that, what is going, let me experiment. and she held the smile for 5 minutes. She said, "The doctor, after 5 minutes my fever was gone." After that feedback, I tried myself. Boom, fever was gone. I mean, normal fever, huh? Don't experiment it with, please consult your doctor. Disclaimer already. But this has that effect. If you smile and hold your smile for seriously 5 minutes, you will notice, because the facial muscles will give the signal to your amygdala and hypothalamus and all the system inside, and that receives that message, says she is smiling. Let it be confused why she is smiling, they don't have any idea, but they have to secrete the dopamines and oxytocins. Okay, she is smiling means boom. Facial expression is like that. Muscles is giving the signal. Reference is there. The third thing is eye location. This is used in EMDR and different kind of psychotherapeutic modalities. If you are sad, let's experiment this. I want you to immediately go back to that one memory which makes you sad, just for 4 to 5 seconds. Immediately, the location of the eyes goes down, isn't it? Immediately you look down there. That is the location of the eyes. I want you to think about the same emotion that creates sadness. Look up. Let's say this is the eye level, above eye level. Look above the eye level and think about that same emotion. It seems like a joke, isn't it? Yeah? Above the eye level. Let's say this is eye level, below eye level, above eye level. Consciously I am looking up and try to simply remember that same sad memory. So these 4 things is what we are doing. Correcting the posture, shoulder straight, neck straight, have a big smile on the face, breathe deeply and look up. No matter what stress you are in, if you are doing this just for 5 minutes, you will be out of it immediately. Magical?
It's like what they call biohacks.
Exactly. Exactly.
Jump your
Yeah. So if you are aware of EMDR, this is what they do. It's eye movement desensitization. Simply movement of eyes without moving the neck, and you are simply moving the eyes and scrambling the whole traumatic event. So this is powerful. This was a part of my thesis. I got full marks. My teacher was so happy. He said that I'll give you 99.9. I said, why you are leaving that 0.1 also? And he was literally in shock, and he was experimenting again and again. No, now I'll think about my wife. Not feeling anything. So magical. This is again one more tool to take away today. As we have the list of questions in the last session, I would like you to add these questions also to that list. So these are immediate again, when you are angry, guilty, helpless, or you are fearful. The questions to ask yourself is, what can I learn from this? Because the basic principle in the theme of creation is, lessons once learnt will not repeat itself. Please remember this, engrave this in your minds. Lessons once learnt will not repeat. It's as simple as, I am in the 7th standard, I have passed the class, I am going to 8th standard. They will never send me back to 7th standard, isn't it? After being a doctor, would you like to go to 10th standard back? Just for the friends, not for learning. You want to appear the mathematics exam again? So lessons once learnt will not repeat. That's a basic benchmark. So once, yeah.
Is the opposite true? If we don't learn the lesson, then
For sure.
it's coming back.
The same lesson will come in different forms. It would be a different person, it will be a different phase, different event, different scenario, same case. Same fears will repeat, same uncertainties will come in.
So what if you have repeated situations?
That is the patterns in life. You have to do the therapy for that. You have to bring it to the resolution. Never cope up. That's the whole scenario. That's the whole framework. Don't simply cope up. This is coping mechanism what I am giving. This is just to bring you out of the war zone and to breathe. So never cope up. Go for a resolution, solutions. You need to understand the bigger phenomena. See, it is as simple as this. Let's say my awareness of yesterday is creating my today. Can I change my awareness today and create a different tomorrow? Is that possible? So however or whatever I am aware of from my upbringing and learning, I am behaving like this today. can I have a different awareness and behave in a different way tomorrow? Let me give you an example. Imagine that you are driving on a weekend, listening to your music, favorite music, and you want to drive slowly and enjoy the drive. Be there, imagine, have a picture. Let's say somebody overtook you very rashly. Boom. You literally, got shocked. What would be your first reaction towards that? Beep. A long pee. And then you will say, what a stupid person. His license should be cancelled. My brother has this. Take the phone number, I'll send it to the police. First reaction, immediate reaction, human reaction. Nothing good or bad or wrong or right. After just 5 minutes, came to know that that person was carrying somebody to the emergency. Needed to reach the hospital. Same person. Oh, let he be blessed. May God help him. May he reach safely. What changed? Just the information changed, isn't it? My awareness has changed. Before I was not aware that he was carrying this person to the hospital. Now I'm aware that he is carrying this person to the hospital. My reaction changed. Not only reaction, my feelings, my emotion, my blessings.
What if he was late for a party?
You will still keep on cursing him.
Because the mind wants to.
Exactly. See, the whole thing is just this. The reaction is about, you want to have a logical reasoning there and to justify your behavior. I have behaved like this because I am not the responsible for that. He was responsible for that. This needs to shift. If somebody is driving your car, you might not be happy. But if you are driving your car, safety. Automated things are happening in life. But if life become automated, is that okay? Yeah? So these are the questions. What can I improve? Because there is always space for improvement.
What you said about what we can do today to change tomorrow.
Yes, the awareness, the moment the awareness shifts, my tomorrow will shift automatically. So I am expanding my awareness in the dimension of, okay, let me understand the theme of creation. I can give you the first-hand experience that I started with. Many things didn't work for me. Then I said that, what am I doing? It's just a matter of quality of question that you have in your head. The question should simply drive you towards, okay, let me figure out what is the right thing. That's where I found a teacher. He told me there are two things in life. One thing is there are universal truths. The other thing is they are perceptual truths. If you are staying with perceptual truths, you will be in misery. If you figure out what are the universal truths and you simply check each and every perceptual truth with universal truth, you will bring each and every perceptual truths in alignment with the universal truth, and that's where the happiness will happen. So it's just a shift of awareness. If I am aware differently, my tomorrow would be different. Yeah? And what is still imperfect? I am trying to simply take this to the next dimension. The whole yearning of human consciousness is, let me make certain things perfect. There is only one thing that is perfect on this planet. You know what is that? Creator. No. I'm not going to the philosophy.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Then
Death. So if you are talking about perfection means you are talking about death. If you want somebody to be perfect means you are telling him then you die.
that's perfect. It still happens. We respect it.
Have you heard anybody dying imperfectly? Not yet died fully. He's not perfectly dead yet. So imperfection is the theme of creation. And it's not imperfection. It's diversity. It's uniqueness. It's bliss, which is random. Yeah? Enjoy the process. Don't forget to enjoy. Whatever you do, this is what we spoke last time. Even if somebody comes and tells you that today I'm feeling so nasty, I'm feeling like killing somebody. The first reaction should be, wow, what a unique perception. See, keep good, bad, ugly aside. Let's discuss about it later. First step should be, what a unique perception. What a unique way to think. What a potential. You can think like this also? Wow. Amazing, isn't it? You won't believe, Dr. Balu will agree with me, how patients will come with different kind of stories. All the time my first reaction is, wow, what a beautiful perception. You think like this? Amazing.
Think about the future. He always thinks about it.
I always do that, and I literally tell them. It's an amazing way of thinking. So these are the, like layer by layer. What is the first step? What should be the last step? Most of the time we confuse the steps. We literally see judging is not our job. Let this job be done with the, like God, creator, or whoever it is to judge. We are not here to judge people. We are here to understand, explore, and add more information to our consciousness, which will at the end add to the collective consciousness. What we do is, first point was want to judge, which is not our job in the first place, and which is the last step. We are doing it in the first step. That's where the whole thing goes into a mess. So if you simply at the first step say, wow, what a potential, that will create ease in life. Because one thing cannot solve, one thing cannot fix it. So just to brief it up, let's call this as consciousness. Let's call it as awareness. So let's say awareness, information, experiences, my perception, everything is kept on the big plate of consciousness. So that information, whatever I have experienced, whatever my informations are there, they are there on that plate of consciousness. In that, these 4 dimensions needs to align in the first step. These are not all the steps. This is the first step. The first step is all about I literally balance my physical quotient or the physical dimension, PQ. In that, essential element is I eat well, I sleep, I work out, and I make sure that at least in a week, and it differs from person to person, I literally need to have a leisure time, my time, free time, me time. Very, very necessary. If that is not integrated, it will just be like this. There are different fulfillments in life. The simple example for fulfillment is I feel hungry, I need to be fed. I feel thirsty, I need water. Simply, if I don't have a leisure time, that is a fulfillment zone which will be in void, an empty zone. That is where it will create a disturbance just as you are feeling hungry. So make sure that you add that without the system asking you. Yes, you need to take more time out. The second dimension is IQ. This is very necessary for survival and also necessary for fulfillment of your intellectual dimension which is within you. It's not about okay, I'm a doctor, I'm an engineer, I have to go 4-year, 5-year studies. That is a totally different skill set. Skill set is a different thing. You are free to choose whatever your skill set is. But to fulfill this IQ, intellectual dimension, you need to simply learn and keep on learning. My teachers used to say, the moment you call yourself as, I have mastered this, that is the last day of your education. So never call yourself as, okay, I'm master of this, I'm master of this, I'm doctor, I'm this, I'm that. I'm just a student. You will fulfill this dimension of IQ. The next dimension is EQ. This dimension is again a part of human consciousness which needs fulfillment. It's not the dimension which have just come into the picture because of Dr. John Kabat. No. It was there since the beginning of human species. It's about how I generate emotions. I need to understand and be consciously aware of. And I need to be consciously aware of, if you are angry, why you are angry. If you are not agreeing with me, why you are not agreeing with me. And I should come with a solution that I should fulfill this dimension of understanding the other human being. That's what happens in the body. If my stomach is paining, I don't start punching it, isn't it? I try to understand why you are paining. I need to go for a perfect doctor or a practitioner who can do something about it. It should similarly apply to the other human being. Acknowledging that if he is angry, if he is like ABC, XYZ, whatever it is that you don't like, he is in pain. You don't start judging him and punching him, but you try to understand him. Now, understanding the other person will fulfill your dimension of EQ. We are doing it for ourselves, not for the other people, first in the first stage. Then it will create a harmony. That's a benefit. SQ. This is again another level of fulfillment. As simple as, again let me emphasize that, if I am hungry, can you operate? Let's say you haven't eaten for 3 days. Can you be sitting here like this? Each and every cell of your body will ask for food and drink, isn't it? SQ dimension is also like that. This dimension confused or uncertain, we start expecting. We start different desires. And we start expecting with everything and all the things around us. So human beings expecting with another human being that they should remain fixed. He is my friend, he is like this, he should remain like this for whole life. Before marriage you were like this, you should stay like this. Why after marriage you changed? So, non-changeable fixed element is yearning of human consciousness, and this consciousness or this yearning, this emptiness, this void can be filled only with divine connection, because that is fixed. Humans are always variable, humans are changing, they are evolving. You should encourage human evolution. They should be changing every other day, they should be going to the next best level, not back into the decay but growing. And if you don't have this divine connection, you will notice that there will be a big huge void, emptiness. That emptiness you will be fulfilling or coping with expecting people, expecting this, expecting that, expecting people to do certain things for you, expecting the system to do certain things for you, and if it doesn't happen, disappointment. That is what will create another level of mental health disorders. So to bring in the balance, these are the first 4 initial ingredients: physical activity, intellectual elements added to the system, emotional connection and divine connection. It's a fulfillment, necessity, must.